Hello, I'm Ruth Martin Artist, and this is everything I made in 2025. And this is definitely me talking at the right time and not on a voiceover because the mic wasn't working. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll, baby. Okay, so January. I was very crafty in January. I have a kind of multidisciplinary practice where I make what I want and I don't really care about what I'm using. I'm primarily a painter, but I like making stuff. And it doesn't matter what stuff that is, I just like making it. In the beginning of January, I made a crochet blanket for my housemate, which was really fun because it was just a giant, like, granny stitch pattern, which was great. Loved it. He liked it. It all worked out. I basically just used scrap yarn, and it was a nice time. Then I got very beady. I got into beads. I bought like a job lot of beads on eBay and made these glass bead hanging, kind of like a bead curtain, but there's only like 5 of them. But then along with that, I made a cushion cover, and I made like sunflowers, and it was like very 70s, like orange, cream, brown, very slay. I then worked on a couple of stickers. So I have an online shop where I sell stickers and prints and paintings. And I had this sticker that said 1 in 10s on it, which, if you have endometriosis, you'll know exactly what that means. Basically, 1 in 10 people who are assigned female at birth have endometriosis, and a TENS machine is something that you use to control the pain. So I basically just redesigned that sticker because the old one was a bit naff and had run out of the stock anyway. So I was like, why not? And then I also made some more I Was Very Brave Today stickers. I love them. They're so cute. And yeah, that's what I did. Weirdly enough, they take quite a long time because you have to like draw them and format them, and that's the stuff I really hate. I hate all of the like technical printing stuff. But alongside that, they're still very beady, and I made a necklace and some earrings, which I love very much. And yeah, it was really fun. I have a pair of pliers in my makeup kit. So that was January. I didn't paint very much in January, so it seems. And I honestly can't remember anything that I've done this year, so don't ask. In February, I designed some prints. So I took some paintings from my journal, which my dad made me and I love so much. He actually made me a new one for this year as well. And I formatted them into prints. So I had a self portrait, which actually is a huge painting, but I formatted that down. Then I had a broken like egg yolk print, which says "trying to be cool about it." It's about my best friend. I'm not in love with her. It sounded like I was in love with her. Not in love with her. But I feel things very deeply, and I'm very sensitive, and I feel like sometimes I like leak on people, but then also other people leak on me because that's what friendship is. So that's what that painting was about. I also made a painting of my childhood teddy with the text, "I've been looking for a home slash crossed out room for 7 months. I'm learning to feel safe. The new students have painted over all my works." And this is kind of about leaving uni, trying to find my place in the world. I also made a new lot of prints that say, "Please don't do coke in the disabled bathroom." And then I did another one, which was an MRI brain scan, but it was from a dream that I had where my brain was full of rats. And it wasn't really a scary dream. It was kind of like an acceptance dream where I just knew that like I had to live with these rats in my brain, which I think is very like indicative of how I live with my chronic illness and my pain. After this, I then finished my other cushion cover. So I have a sun and a moon, which is very cute and I love it very much. I used to have like these cushion covers from Shein. Uh, I bought from Shein once in my life when I was a teenager, and because I'm not a wasteful person, I kept those cushions for like 10 years. So I thought it was about time for me to make a new cover. And I think I still use the cover inside as like a liner, so I didn't waste it, but who knows. Anyway, I then made a digital drawing series basically about like bad habits and about misery and what my granny would call navel gazing, which is where you're like that, staring at your own belly button, feeling sorry for yourself. And I really enjoyed making these, and when I post them online, lots of people relate to them, which is kind of nice and also kind of sad because obviously You don't want to have bad habits, but they aren't terrible habits. It's just like doom scrolling, but like not wanting to phone anyone for connection, or wanting like being really, really tired, but not going to bed, or having really bad acne, but picking your acne because it's so easy to pick. It's so fun to pick. Um, and staring out the window, being like, I want to go outside, but just not going outside. So that was February. March, I was prolific. I made lots of work. This happens. I go through phases of being very prolific and then less prolific. But I'm always making something of some sort. And actually, when I put this all together, I was like, this is not very much work. It's 100 pictures, and I don't think it's everything, but like, it's the interesting stuff, you know? So I did a painting of a urostomy because I have a bladder disease. And at one point, there was a conversation about getting rid of my bladder. And I paint to process because painting is a process. And then I finished this painting that I had like been on a journey with since I finished uni, so like 3 years now. And it's been so many paintings, and there's so many paintings underneath it. And it was like this canvas that I kept around that I just like experimented on or played with because I still don't have loads of money to buy new canvases, and making them isn't that much cheaper. So I never really thought that this painting would be a painting. I thought it would just be kind of like when you like are frying and you like empty all the oil into an oil jar, kind of like that, just like a dump painting, but it actually turned into something, and I really love it. And then I was working a lot in my journal. I made myself some field sketchbooks, which I don't necessarily take into the field, but they are easier to carry around than my big journal. And I made this painting drawing about being in pain and it being every day, every minute, uplifting. And then there was a time in March where I can't remember specifically because I have a terrible memory, but something was happening with disabled rights in the UK, and I was really angry about it. And lots of people going on protests. I think it was about the threat to like cut benefits or something. And I was too unwell to go to protests, so I made this big banner that said "Disabled, not disposable," and then I took a picture of me taking a nap in front of it. Rest is defiance. Sorry, I'm not putting money into money making machine capitalism. And then I did a "When Does It End" drawing with desiccant silica. I don't really know why. I was feeling something. I did it. And then I did another page. And then I did a little comic. Again, I always do comics when I'm feeling my feelings, but I'm in bed and I can't like paint or do a journal. So this one says, I don't really know what it looked like, and when I do, nothing seems to fit right anymore. I have all of these blobs in weird places, and I've forgotten to put the rest of the thing on there, so I'll put it here. I made it about identity and how your body changes because of disability or hormones or medications, and how that can be really difficult. I then made a sketchbook page with medications, and it said, I may or may not be shit scared of getting norovirus because I have a weakened immune system, and someone in my house had norovirus. And I was like, but I didn't get it. I then made another journal page, and this one was made with some wrappers and an old painting I chopped up. And I did this drawing of a dog barking, and it says, Fear me, please. If I'm in a different position now, it's because I just moved. Also, these are the cushions. And this one. So, after March comes April. So in April, I spent about a week at my dad's house, and a lot of this work I made there. So throughout this time, I've been working on a jumper as our knitting project, but I saw some family, and so I did this little journal page where I drew a picture of my family doing an Easter egg hunt, and then me and my nephews having a race. And I also took some pictures and some stickers from an old sticker book that I had as a child, which was like horses, like horse girl core. It was also the same month, I think, that in the UK, trans women's rights had been essentially revoked. So I made a journal page about that, and it says trans women are women, and it also has horse stickers on there because horses, I don't know why, but they just feel very trans, like they feel very queer. It also has like a bird, an injection. And then when I got back into London, I made a page about food. So it's got different food wrappers on there, and it just said, it's just cake. It's just cake. Eat the damn cake. And then I made another food page because I got into the habit of going to M&S for picky bits with my friend, and I made this really fun little journal page. I then made another food page. Oh my god, it's food. About, I actually really loved making this. It was from a cereal company called Cereal, and I used the cereal box and like all the images on there, and like I cut out every individual Cheerio to put in this bowl, and then I also had the side of an oat milk carton. And then I had been working on this jumper for a few months, and this was a picture of me working out where to start the ribbing. And then I did another journal page with jammy dodgers on it, but it was also a watercolor of my bedroom, and I love painting my bedroom. I love painting my bed because I live there. I live in my bed. That's where I live. And I wouldn't say I'm homebound, but I'm definitely a homebody. I spend 80% of the time at home. Yeah, that was April. Now we're getting on to May, and May, the sun came out. I live in a shed house, which means the garden is pretty dead. Like, it's just a patch of grass. And me and my housemate spent the summer basically in the garden chilling out. And there's this little patch of grass that is under the flower tree. It's just a bug hotel. Like, nothing grows there. There's no sun. It's just wet. Like, blech. So I decided to make a fairy garden. And I wanted to make sure that it was like eco-friendly and not going to harm the garden, because fairies, first and foremost, enjoy an ecologically conscious garden. So I got these little mushroom lights, and I painted these like slabs of wood. I only painted one side so that the bottom would be like a little bug hiding space, because I think we need more bugs. We never see bugs anymore. I also have a little strawberry flower pot outside, a little bucket, some windmills that my neighbour got for me because she saw that I was building it for the fence, and she was like, do you want some windmills? And I was like, yeah, that's really sweet, thank you. I basically found a wild strawberry in the garden and like a plant, and I dug it up, and I don't know why I thought this would work, but I dug it up and I put it in this bit, and obviously strawberries need loads of light, so it died immediately. Then I also did an outdoor craft where I painted a t-shirt with bleach, and I made this little star pattern, which was really fun. I made this tiny little painting, like a circle. It's like 30 centimeters, and it was of a person falling through the air. And I designed my tattoo, which I have now, and I designed this picture of Paddington. And then I couldn't really be asked to draw a pigeon, so I just put a pigeon on the bottom and sent it to the tattoo artist, and I was like this, please. And then I started this mini project zine, where I took all of my rejection letters that I'd gotten from art opportunities and put them in a book, and I repainted the paintings that I had submitted for that art opportunity. I don't think I properly finished it. I got like halfway through, and then I was like, this doesn't really feel like it was meant to feel. Like, I don't really care about it anymore. Sometimes when I'm doing a project, if it goes on for too long, I start to like, I've done my thing. I've processed it, or I've whatever, and I just go, actually, I'm done now. I drew this little cartoon of me and this guy who I met at the train station. It said, today 2 billion people with suitcases rushed into the lift, so I gave them a hard stare and didn't realise there was another guy next to me who pulled up to do the same thing and make them all feel bad. We loudly then said this: it's fine, we'll take the stairs. I love being maliciously disabled. And before anyone says anything, they are allowed to do that. The lift is for everyone, whatever. But I personally am of the belief that people who are disabled, whether invisibly, visibly, severely, or unseverely, should be given the priority, because the reason you have a lift is because the people who fought for it were disabled. And then I designed this 2-headed calf, and I did it on Procreate. And then that is the end of May. Moving on to June, I made lots of stuff in June. I had another prolific month. So I made that cow drawing into a t-shirt, which I love. It's so cute. It's like a little tank top. I just got a couple of tank tops from Primark for like £2 and was bleaching them and embroidering them and stuff. So I embroidered that, which was really fun. And then I did some more paintings in my journal. So I did a painting of some tomatoes and then a digestive tract. And then my grandparents gave me this massive old canvas that they found that had an inkjet printing on. So when you put water on it, all the ink came off, but you couldn't really get the ink off canvas. So I painted this bladder, but the bladder was the Three of Swords, and behind it is all of the dark viscera and organs, and underneath it is the pus and the blood and the urine. I enjoyed painting this because it was a big painting and I made it outside, but I don't like the end result that much, which is fine because sometimes we paint just to paint and that's okay. I then did a little drawing of my cat because I got some new poster pens and I was trying them out. And then I did a painting that I don't know whether I can show you, but I did that. And then I got into digital collaging. It was really fun. So I got this jumper on Vinted, but I made this collage because of the jumper, because I thought it reminded me of like Miss Piggy and Kermit and things like that, and I love them. They're so sweet. So that was that. That was June. And then July, I don't know why I didn't make much in July. And I don't know whether it's because I can't find pictures of it or whether I just didn't make much. That sometimes happens. But I did a YouTube video called How to Rest, which, if I'm capable of doing, I will link here. I then made a card that went flipping viral. This is not just a colonoscopy, this is an M&S colonoscopy. And I made a Colin, like Colin the Caterpillar oscopy. I posted it on TikTok and I can't even remember how many views it got, but then I had to make the card for real because so many people wanted it. So then I designed the card and I think I shipped like 40 of them or something. It was ridiculous. It was the busiest month my shop ever had. And during this time, I also did a really sweet digital drawing of my cat, Athena. But I saw her coming down the pathway in the garden with a massive mouse in her mouth, and I was like, I made another collage, but this time it was a combination of physical and digital. So I made a physical collage first and then put it in Procreate and did a digital one. And I made it out of National Trust magazine. So I also did a little drawing of an otter, did an otter and a fox, and I said on there, I'm sorry, it just hurts and I can't help it. And it was about rejection sensitivity in my relationships. August. So in August, I did a lot of painting outside and some reading, and I made some little paintings of my cat and the garden. Very chill, just really sweet. Then I made another journal page that says, I have the biggest tits in the entire world and I hate you all. And I made a print which I'm embarrassed about because basically Fontaine's DC are my favourite band. And I made a print without checking the lyrics, but it's okay because it's cute. And this bug that I painted was actually a real bug that I saw with a heart on its back. Here's the print of the cat. So I made it into The Hunter, which is a song by Softplay. And then I made some more journal pages. This one, Don't Make Yourself Smaller, and a little bunny. And then I Still Miss Her with a wolf eating a magic fish. And then I had a little birthday party. So my birthday's in July, but being in London and having friends all over the place, we couldn't get together. So I had it in August and I made some little digital collages of that day and it was really fun. And I had this amazing cake that was like laced with sugar. They managed to get more sugar in it than the weight of the cake. It was kind of crazy. But my like best friends met for the first time, which was really nice. Some of them knew each other, some of them didn't. And then I also made a little headboard. So I crocheted one and it falls off the wall almost every day, but it's very cute. And then September, made some really cool stuff in September. I was like, hey, I'm gonna paint. So again, with the journal pages, I mean, this is just so good. This is really good. So I did a lot of paintings about my bones. I did these two, the self-portrait, which I didn't use a projector for, I didn't use a tracing for, which I normally do. It was all me, baby. And then I also did a portrait of my pelvis and my spine, because that's where it hurts. Then I did a painting of some stuff, and then I did a painting of me on the loo. And when I said this to someone, they were like, whoa, TMI. And I was like, how is it TMI to look at a painting of me basically fully clothed on the loo? I don't know. I also really enjoy painting in like one colour and using water as a medium. I then did this portrait of me and my best friend, but I made her look kind of like she'd been rolling around in a bin. And she is going to take this painting, but I don't really like it. But I'm glad I did it. It was a picture of me and her on the sofa where we have our like debriefs, and she'll come round and we'll talk for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, I do love the way that it looks in terms of like it's us. This is how we are, and I've been friends with them since first year of uni, and we came together because they saw my giant on the wall that I had painted. And then I made my first ever canvas, but it was actually made from hessian, so like burlap sack, and it meant that the paint was so hard to paint because obviously the holes are really big. So when I was using my oil sticks, my oil sticks, it was just going through like it was like grating it. So at one point I just had to like scoop paint up and just like push it through. But it was really fun and I really enjoyed it, and it was like a fun little experiment, and I got to use my staple gun for the first time. So. Then I made a little digital drawing. um, and it says, when I am king, I shall ban home renovations and schnitzel making at 4 p.m. in brackets, nap time. And then the cat is in the corner and it says, also give the cat thumbs so she can let herself out and stop screaming. And then I did another self-portrait with mainly oil sticks, so neons, and this was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I did it on a linen board. And then I finished probably my best painting of the year. It's called 417, and it's quite a big painting. It's 80 by 60, I think, or 40. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. It's like very like visceral and very like gloobly and like so yeah. And then I did a little oil pastel drawing of my baby, a little cat. Um, yeah, little sweet baby. I don't really use oil pastels. Is it oil pastels? Soft pastels. I don't really use soft pastels because they get fucking everywhere. Then there's October. So October, I had a surgery, which meant that I didn't really get the opportunity to make much stuff, but I had been making this crochet jumper for the last like month or so. I do love crochet and knitting for when I'm flaring up because I can do it in bed. And then I found a little park nearby my house. I did some little quick paintings. And a lot of that month as well was spent working out how the fuck to reproduce neons. Can be done, it's just a bit of a ball ache. I did another painting, a big painting, and it was gory. It was a feelings painting. Might not be one that I put in an exhibition, but it was there. November. So I made a couple of cartoons. This one I made when one of my best friends came to stay. So we went to go see Loyal Kana, and they stayed the night. And they were a specialty barista for about a year, I think. And I was a specialty barista 5 years, 6 years ago. So I get told that I'm a coffee snob all the time. Like I have my own V60 drip. I like nice coffee, like not super nice, but like I like proper ground coffee, whatever. But they are another level, and I did not realize this before they came over. So I thought I'd be set, and I said to them in this like little cartoon, it says it's basically about when we were having coffee, and I said, "Do you want coffee? I'm doing a V60," and they say, "Sure, thanks." I say, "Do you want syrup?" And they go, "What beans are you using?" And I go, M&S, and they go, "Yeah, I'll have some syrup then." And it was really funny, and I love drawing that, and that was such a nice time when they came around. Funny. And then I was making some hand warmers for myself and also for my friends. And I went to the park and I saw this person feeding the pigeons, and setting up their own chair to sit in the sunshine, which I just thought was so lovely. And so I went home and I painted that. And then with the old print that I had made that was a failure, I painted on top of it. I think it's there. And I kind of made a second going of the 417 painting, which was fun. And then I made this painting, which is there. It says, "Pull me open, hold me close. Je rêve," which means I'm dreaming, or I dream. This one says, "Oceans and oceans and oceans. I want to be more." The end, 10, 12, lots of different stuff. And it's got like a big firework spidery thing, and it's got me and my cat underneath like a wave on top of a wave. Kind of dreamy, kind of surrealist. Yeah, I think that one's this one. There it is. And then in December, I made a zine that I haven't really shown anyone because I kind of, again, fell out with it halfway through. But it was called "I Want a Better Body, I Want a Better Skin." And it's basically about fat phobia, learning to love yourself, that kind of vibe. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Um, it says, "How interesting that being well fed, warm, and squishy is something that is so vehemently warned against by the entire Western world." And then I did a painting for my friend's family. I also made these little hand warmers for my friend's mum. Again, same wool that I used for my jumper and my hand warmers. And then I was making the scarf, which was double knit, so you do like it's like reversible, and it was driving me insane. So it's a DNF for me, but it was fun to do at the time. And then I made some candlestick holders, um, and yeah, just the zine as well, which I might post because I posted one picture and someone was like, "Oh, I like that." And then I also finished my Sophie hood, which I love, and I'm actually making another one for my best friend. It's really stretchy and really fun and really cool. Um, and yeah, that is everything I made in 2025. Yay! So it feels like I made a lot more than that. I made stuff. I didn't make stuff. I think art is a practice. Everyone knows that, but practice means that you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, no matter what it is. So, no matter what day it is, what I'm doing, I'm normally making something, whether it is knitting, crochet, a digital drawing, a poem, um, a song, a painting, like whatever it is. Sometimes it's a very carefully crafted text, and that's okay. So I've now spoken for like 400 years, and I'm gonna go to bed. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.